There's a golf mall in Bangkok with maybe about 20, 30 golf shops. And they've got some shops that sell training aids. So I went in there with my prototype and said, would you stock this? The second one I walked in, the woman in there said, yeah, that looks good. What's the price? So she paid cash. I had some in my car. I dropped them off. And that day with the first sale, that was a great day.
Folks, on this episode of Big Boy Pants Golf, I've got a guest on who's beaten the long odds twice. He, A, moved to Thailand, and B, brought a golf invention to life. Say hello to Rob.
Okay, welcome. Thank you for having me on the Hottest Golf channel on YouTube.
You could have said YouTube's Hottest Golf channel, but we can say it in any order we want. Rob, please, how did you get to Thailand? Everyone wants to know this crazy story.
I worked in sports management in England. I worked for different rugby teams. I'd done some golf teaching training, a USGTF course. And on that course, I did some chipping stuff. And then I came on holiday to Thailand a few times. I loved it here. So I thought I'd try something different for a year and see how it went, and also try and develop the chipping pro at the same time. And 10 years later, I'm still here.
It's an amazing story because everyone who goes on holiday in Thailand thinks, hey, maybe I should live here. I know what happened to me too. I went on holiday and I ended up living in Thailand for 5 years. So I understand we are kindred spirits on that level in the fact that when you see a good thing, you got to give it a go. However, I got weak, came back to the States. You are still going strong there, my friend. And, you know, in terms of that as well, you also had a vision to bring this invention to life.
Yes. I mean, I think weak is a bit harsh on yourself, but I mean, you know, it's not an easy place to live for some people. But, you know, I find that with my personality, it suits it well. It's very relaxed. People are clever. It's not the same as the West. And I feel that my style fits in here. And the weather's obviously good. The food's great. And then, you know, the opportunities are here. You know, there's so many factories, so many, you know, people know what to do, know how to make things, which in the West has sort of been lost and is a lot more expensive. So I just thought it was a good place to try and do this. And it worked out quite well.
So talk us through specifically why chipping.
Yeah, when I did the USGTF course and we had breaks, we were at a golf club, so I used to go out and chip. And you know, I chip in quite a lot. People came over, like, can you help me with my chipping? Can you know, other people on the course, and you know, we were trying to develop lessons. That was part of the course. So I came up with something to help somebody you know, chip without me because there were 3 or 4 people asking, and it worked really well. So I just thought, well, I'll take that away and try it with other people. I taught other people chipping where I was a member and other things. And the problem that I found was that people don't practice pretty much. And I was always on the chipping green practicing, not many other people there. And, you know, when I taught people, they come back a week later, have you practiced? No. People do lessons, but they don't improve. And I found it quite frustrating. So I thought of developing something that would help them.
We still need to get more into your backstory in Thailand. What exactly are you doing right now in Thailand?
So I work at a university. I teach English. I came over here to teach golf originally, but again, I found it quite frustrating to teach golf. You know, I love golf. I love playing golf, and when I was working in golf full time, you know, that sort of went away. So you know, I decided to stop. You know, I still teach golf occasionally, but I prefer to play golf. I play amateur golf. And then in my free time, I work on Chipping Pro and other projects.
Are you allowed to tell people which university?
Yeah, I think Mahidol University. I work here full time and teach. You know, they're surprisingly high level students. You know, people in the West think that, you know, other countries and people are not clever. We've got kids. It's a computer faculty. We've got kids making robots. Kids, you know, image recognition using AI. You know, lots of very high level stuff that, you know, I don't really understand. You know, but we try and help them to communicate their ideas in English. They have a lot of the lower level students have got some of the best programmers, etc. But they struggle to communicate their ideas. So people think they're not that clever, but they're, you know, some of the stuff that I see is like, oh, this is way beyond anything I've ever seen. So yeah,
I'm comfortable with whatever you're developing, as long as it's not some kind of golf drones. You don't want things flying over you, counting your strokes. But let's get to the point of you've moved to Thailand. You love it there. You're settled in. At what exact point did you come up with Chipping Pro? And then you're gonna have to talk us through concept to completion.
Okay, so I came up with Chipping Pro when I was in England about 10, maybe more than 10 years ago now, maybe 12 years ago, when I was teaching people in England. And then it's difficult to get things developed. It's quite a this is the product here. It's quite it's got moving parts. It's got strength. It's got more than one component. So I had to try and get a prototype made. My uncle is a tool maker. He made something out of metal, which isn't ideal for golf, something that's going to be hit by a golf club. But we managed to make it work with padding, etc. I tested it at the London Golf Show, and then with my students. And then when I came out here, I thought I'd try and find a factory to make it, and that's a lot more difficult than you imagine. Trying to find people who can make stuff that at small quantities at low levels is not as easy as you think.
So you brought this metal prototype to the London Golf Show, and what was the general feedback there?
People like the idea. People like, there's a chipping tray. I can't chip at home. I can't practice. The flat thing works. It was great to get feedback, because some people they don't chip like you. Like, a lot of people come too steep, but a lot of people have come too steep too many times, and they decide to shovel it. They come too shallow. So originally we had this bit at the back was flat, but I decided to put this in here because after seeing people chip, a lot of people are very risk averse. They just shovel it forward with an 8-iron or whatever, and you don't chunk it, but it doesn't really work either. So I went through a stage of using different plastics to get for the flat. So you can see here that some of these have got damage on them. You've just got to go through a process and find what works, and find what not just works for you, but works for the people using it.
Are you trying to teach more about using the leading edge chipping technique or using the bounce?
I don't like to get complicated with chipping. I think that a lot of the teaching is overcomplicated. A lot of the pros are used to teaching the professional players, and then for most of the amateurs are just trying not to chunk it. They're trying not to. They're trying not to thin it through the green or chunk it a yard in front of them and be laughed at by their friends. So, I try and keep it simple. You miss the flat, the ball goes in the middle here. You miss the block and you push the flat down. That's it. And you can use it with any bounce. You can use it with any club. I've done videos with a 4-iron. You can put it further back to make it more difficult. You can put it further forward to make it easier. I'm just trying to make it as untechnical as possible to try and free bad chippers up. Bad chippers are very tense. Bad chippers are very worried, and it kills them. So less thought, more natural is the idea.
Can the Chipping Pro withstand the most legendary chipping technique, the Thai spinner? You place the ball way back. You punch down at it hard. It comes out really low, but checks up very quickly.
Oh yeah, as long as you miss. You can see here, this is mine. It's got some damage on the back. Maybe you can see that it's got some where it's been hit. It will unless you are axing it with the edge of your club. We've had one fail in all the time we've been making it. So the plastic is very hard. That's part of the process. It's got reinforcements at the back here, reinforcement struts underneath. So. It's very strong. It won't break.
You've come up with this prototype. You got positive reviews from it at the London Golf Show. Take us through the steps in terms of actually getting a person to manufacture the plastic model, and then take us all the way up to the point where you get your first sale.
Okay, so I originally thought it would be like a driving range mat, so it would be like rubber. And I found a driving range mat manufacturer and spoke to them and said, can you make driving range mat and then cut it to the size that I want, and then I'll just fit the flap in into the rubber. And they said they were Taiwanese, they spoke good English, and they said no. Pretty much the factory manager just said no. And the guy said, people buy online. You don't want to be shipping rubber. It's too heavy. And I hadn't considered that at that point, so I had to change and think about finding plastic. There's a lot of plastic manufacturers in Thailand, a lot of molding factories, but finding people who are willing to take on a small project, a project that needs development is tricky. It took me about 6 months to find, to get through to people. A lot of people factories have phone numbers, factories have emails. They don't answer them a lot of the time. I'm working on a project now which is similar.
For the 6-month period of time, trying to find a manufacturer, were you using a local person to contact them, or were you just sending out emails to these email addresses and hoping to get an email back?
Whatever. I mean, I didn't have a partner then, so a lot of the time I was doing it myself, just trying to make contact with people. A lot of Thai people do speak English. There were translation apps back then, so. But I found the company. I found the owner is Danish, so I mean that was very helpful. He'd worked here about 10 years, and he said just come in and see me. So I took like an hour and 30-minute taxi ride after work one day into the middle of nowhere, into this place full of factories. Completely lost. No idea how I was going to get home, and met him, and he was very helpful from the start. So. That was a very good fight. I mean, it took me a long time, but it was as soon as I found the right factory, Bangkok Molds Company, that was very helpful. So from there, we developed a 3D printed model, and you can see here that this is the second version, because on the back there is a weld. This bit on the back wasn't there at the start, and we re-engineered it to make it stronger with the struts. Put it together. You can see the space for the flap here. The flap is not molded. The flap is cut polypropylene, and then we put it together and saw what it looked like. And originally it was called Chip Master Pro. That name was already taken, so we had to change the name. But yeah, so that was the first stage of the process, is finding something that works. Some people say it's a bit high. Some people don't like this bit here, but as you said, it's got to be able to withstand a golf club, so it needs this support underneath. It's all trade-offs. Some things that you'd like to work on, but you just can't because of the manufacturing process or the strength that it needs. So, once we got that, then we moved into the finished version, which is a lot lighter. But made of molded plastic. Now the flap is molded with an arrow on it here. It's very rigid, very strong. But we source the AstroTurf locally, whatever AstroTurf we can get at the time. The factory said go with stickers rather than putting the name in the plastic, in case like a Japanese company or a Korean company wanted to make it into a brand. And then the box, so we had to get packaging. So originally it was just a plastic box, a plastic bag with a hang top. But I drove into a plastic bag factory near my work at lunchtime one day, and took a Chipping Pro in and said, "What bags do you have that fit this?" And then bought 500 bags and walked out. And just things like that, where you just don't think about. Everyone's got a vision of their product, but the small bits around it, finding labels the right size, getting them printed, finding getting a hang top printed. Will the hang top support the weight? The structure of this box is designed to hold it on a hanging. So it's got reinforcements in the box. There's quite a lot of stuff that you don't really realize that goes into product.
The first one came off the press, and they presented it to you, and they said, "Kuhn Rob, here it is." How many more adjustments had to be made off that first one that came out of the factory?
Well, we originally had the flap wasn't molded, so that was the second mold that I got. But generally, the first, off this, it's very similar to this. Just it's much nicer. We worked most of it out in the planning stage without units, because at the time there was a trend in Thailand for people to get models of themselves, miniature garden gnome type models of themselves in a 3D print.
That's next level narcissism.
There was a 3-month wait to get on a 3D printer because there weren't many around then, and they were all being taken to make 3D prints of people.
Rob, I don't know if you remember this, but about 8-9 years ago, last time I was in Thailand, the trend there was people having these lifelike dolls that they would walk around. That was weird and creepy.
Yeah, but this was, I don't know where, I've never seen any of these dolls, but that's what the factory said, is that they were they were overrun with people making like miniature dolls of themselves. But, I don't think anybody could factor that into their process of their time scale, because you have to go for a mold. Unless you're going to get another mold, you've only got one chance, really. So even though it's not put, I mean, if I had my time, I'd make a slight change maybe, but you'll say to people it's got to be like this, but it can't be. So what do? You've got to make compromises and work with what you can.
This is honestly awesome to hear about you actually succeeding pulling this off. My question to you now is, if a person out there wanted to skip all the 6 months here, 6 months there, and reach out to you directly to get in touch with the supplier, could they do that?
Yes, I'm working on a project now, which is a dry spray. Here, I've just got a sample, which is for golf and for other products. So if people want to develop their idea, or even just get feedback to say whether their idea might work or might not, then I'd be very happy to help. It's been a very interesting and beneficial process for me. You learn a lot of stuff that you don't even consider: how to do social media videos, how to do YouTube videos, how to call people in a different language, how to organize banking. All these small things that are very useful life skills that you would never do if you work in a factory or a 9-to-5 job. So in terms of my benefits to the person, I think it's worth anybody doing it. It's been a very good process for me. And if people want help, I'd be happy to help.
Do you think, to increase a person's chance of success, and these are tough things to pull off, do you think that the person should be based in Thailand for a period of time while they're trying to bring their product to life? Or do you think you can do it all overseas?
Yeah, you could do it all overseas, definitely. One of the big problems is money. So people need money to do things. And the other thing is that people need to say no a lot, which is a lot more difficult, I would find, in the West. In Thailand, people don't have as much money. People don't want as much. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier. People aren't calling you. It's a lot easier to say no. But obviously, the money side, you need money to pay for development, to pay for early stage. So I'm not saying come out here and give up everything and come out here, because if you're making money is very useful. So I mean, it's certainly you could do it from the West. Finding factories is not. You can do online. This was 10 years ago. Social media wasn't as strong then. Websites weren't as good, so it'd be easier nowadays. But I would just recommend anybody to do it. Don't die wondering.
That phrase, "don't die wondering," is why half the dudes overseas live in Thailand right now.
Yeah, maybe. They aren't wrong, though.
They aren't wrong. They were not wrong. You get sucked in, gentlemen. Don't necessarily go over there for a 5-week holiday and extend it 2 weeks. Next thing you know, you're there for 5 years. So in terms of your second product, now that you know the ropes, is it just smooth sailing now?
Not really. The same problems still exist. So it's now I know about selling online. That's a lot easier. How to get to the market. This product's a bit easier because there's competition that we can look at and copy. Whereas for chipping, there's not much good stuff out there. There's not there's some products that dig into your ribs and hurt. No one wants to buy a product that hurts you as a training aid. So for chipping, it's very much you have to develop your own path. Whereas for this, it's the selling part is easier. The manufacturing side, you'd think there'd be loads of factories that would you could just go online and find a factory to bottle liquid and put in bottles. I've been looking for a week now. I can't find one. I'm looking at buying my own machine to do that. So, I mean, the same problems exist. Factories are difficult to communicate with. Their job is to make stuff. If they've got lots of customers, then they're not as in. Other people aren't as interested as you. You expect everybody to be waiting for your call to make your product, and other people have got things to do. They've got jobs already. So you've just got to keep going until you find what you need. The people aren't just sat there waiting.
It's interesting that you're talking about potentially buying this machine to make it yourself, correct?
Yeah, that's one of the options, because I can't find the quantities we need. People are saying, "All right, we can do that, but we need 100,000 units," and it's like, well, that's quite a lot of units. So, it's. But you've got to understand that's the size of thing that factory does, and their processes are set up for big companies who are making cosmetics at huge quantities, and that they're not interested in helping you. It's inefficient, it's unprofitable. It's a lot of effort for them. So they'll just push you away, and you've just got to keep trying to find the people that are in the same, who are starting a factory maybe, or a smaller business, and they need your business. It's much better to work with people who want your business than people who just do. If they're doing you a favor, then that won't end well.
Rob, what a fortuitous break for me to get in contact with you, because unbeknownst to the Big Boy Pants Golf community, I too am trying to bring a product to market.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
So I'm springing it right now.
Okay.
But that's why I know when you're saying you want to have this machine made, that's the other option for my product, because it's the same thing. If your idea doesn't fit any standard molds, well, now they have to make the mold.
Yes, you have to. So I had to make a mold for Chipping Pro, but just finding a factory to put this liquid in a bottle, I can't find a factory. The factories have got bottling machines, but they don't want to. They've got customers. They've got processes. So the quantity we need, it might be easier to buy a bottling machine and just run it ourselves, and buy the bottles and buy the labeling machine. But certainly making a mold was the most expensive part of the process. That cost about it was about £5,000 at the time, so about maybe $7,000. So maybe there's two molds, so maybe $10,000 in total for the molds. But without a mold, to get them handmade, the cost it's unprofitable. So you have to take a risk at some point and dive in. If you're not going to take the risk and make it profitable, then there's no point doing it.
In the golf YouTube community, I'm kind of known as the alpha ideas man. So I want to throw this out there for you. Liquid in a bottle. If you contact Sting and get the rights to use a little bit of message in a bottle as your little, I mean, it works. That's why people reach out.
This stuff doesn't need any. It doesn't need any help marketing wise. It's very, very good. This product is a lot easier to sell than my other product. So I wish I had. We have sent some to the UK to start soft testing in the UK, but the testing out here is very good. But yeah, it's just testing we're testing all the time, testing different areas. Just getting different people's feedback. The first person who bought Chipping Pro on Amazon didn't read the instructions and gave me 1 out of 5 because he read it wrong. And same, I sent it to another product, somebody who made a training aid. I sent it to them to test, and they didn't do it properly. They said this isn't good. I was like, well, look. So people, you just learn. Let people don't read stuff. Nobody reads anything anymore.
How about this in terms of selling on Amazon? From what I've heard, Amazon protects the buyer, so people will buy stuff and send it back, send the box or package back empty, and the seller just takes it on the chin each time. Do you find that selling on Amazon is a good thing or a lot of hassle? Well,
I've never had anybody send them back. People are generally pretty grateful when it fixes their chipping. So I've never experienced that. But Amazon they're not my favorite company in the world. I think that their customer service for sellers is not well. I don't know how they charge what they charge with a straight face for their customer service, but they have market dominance, and you can't really sell without them. So, but I mean, the buyer where everybody buys from Amazon, I wouldn't send stuff back unless it was broken. I find golf people would be very similar. So, I mean, I've never experienced that with buyers, but Amazon themselves, I think they've got better recently. But you have to go through Twitter. They've got only if you call them out on Twitter will they help you. Again, PayPal used to be really bad, but they improved dramatically. So it can be done, but it's just, do they want to? I mean, you have. They control the online market in many respects. So, I mean, I've got my own website. It's a lot more profitable to sell through chippingpro.com. But we are on Amazon. I left it to other companies for a while just because I disagreed with, I took a pointless stand against the world's biggest online retailer. And obviously, I'm never going to win. But other people were selling online at that time. So now I've taken it back myself. We're on Amazon in the everywhere there is Amazon. There's no perfect solution to getting your product out there. You just have to take the risk.
That's inspirational. You've sold a bunch of units. You're officially an inventor.
Yes.
A business owner. This is awesome. It's going to inspire people at home who are watching this right now. They're also probably going to reach out to you because, just like myself, everyone has these ideas. Did you seek a patent?
I looked into it. I investigated similar golf training aids and what they did for chipping, and I made the folder. I've still got the folder, but I didn't bother in the end because I read into patents, and if you can't defend the patent, it's worthless. And the patent, you have to go to court, and it costs around $100,000, which I don't have. So it's all about not saying no. That's one of the big. If you do go down this path, there are so many ways to spend money on promotions, on email lists, on Instagram models, Instagram golf girls. So there's so many ways to spend money. You can just pour money away, and you just got to say no at some point. So I just didn't spend the money because if somebody from China copies this, what am I going to do?
That's the correct answer. But in terms of Instagram models, I feel like you are in Instagram model central in terms of Thailand with the Thai ladies.
I'm not sure they're on Instagram. Well, Instagram is very popular in Thailand, but I did try it with one Thai golf girl, Atitia K, she's called.
I think I follow her on Instagram.
I've met her, and she's a lovely girl. She doesn't speak much English, which is why she's not that big. She doesn't talk on her videos, but she was a former Miss Universe Thailand runner-up. And Thai men like taller women. She's very athletic for a Thai girl. Her golf swing is beautiful. It really is one of I don't want to be too much of a simp about it, but her golf swing is lovely. So I got her to make a video. I sent it to her. I got her to make a video. No sales, absolutely zero sales. I specifically did it just to test how it would work with some of the more famous American Instagram golfers. And I might be wrong, but when I watch Instagram and when I see people using products, I'm not looking at the product particularly. The Shi sisters, Caitlin Shi, I'm not looking at whatever they. I'm just looking at them, aren't I? So,
could you take a break from simping, please?
I stopped following them after a while because it's just you just think, oh, if they use my product, then that would be great. But the costs of I don't want to say what they charge or what they used to charge. They're good business people. They're making a living. People use it, but it's eyes only. You're getting people's eyes on the product, but it's not the same as a sale. Certainly for something as like Chipping Pro. So. With chipping, there is a barrier. People are very scared to be seen to be working on chipping. Most courses, most country clubs have got short game areas. People don't use them. People don't chip. You can chip in your garden easily. People don't do it. So there seems to be a barrier with chipping, and it's just getting the right marketing message. For some products, Instagram would work. I'm sure, like more instant sales, it would work. But for Chipping Pro, I just don't think it worked. So I haven't gone down that path.
It's crazy because chipping is the fastest way to shave 8 to 10 strokes off your game.
It seems obvious to me, but currently the big thing in the market is speed. Speed products work very well. Then obviously always there's putting. Put out is an excellent. Put out is the unicorn that's broken through. It's the simplicity of it is brilliant, and I don't think when they made it they expected. I think they're English. I don't think they expected it to go like it's gone, and they managed it very well. I did try to ride them for a bit on social media, and they blocked me. It's fair enough, but I was trying to get people to think about chipping as well as putting. The selling part is as difficult as the manufacturing part. I had a list of retailers around the world. I contacted them. The first one to buy was in the UAE. they bought about 100. And then the biggest markets are USA and Japan. They're the two biggest training aid markets. So the USA, I spoke to some retailers, especially Chris at Golf and Ski Warehouse, who was very, very helpful. He said, I buy from this wholesaler. You need to get it listed by them. And they're based in the Midwest, so like 12-hour time difference. So getting up or calling late at night. Eventually, I got through to the main guy, and he was obviously a very busy man. Very little time for the phone call, but he was just so direct. He just said, "This is your price. I'll buy it at this. It needs to have this. It needs to have this. Come back to me when when you've got that. Come back to me. Send me an email. I'll do the purchase order." So, you can't get better advice than that. This is what I need. Do it or don't. I mean that's where it was. So the price was very low, and then COVID happened, and COVID was brilliant. what a great thing for somebody who makes a golf training aid that you can only use at home, or you can use at home. So, suddenly I was getting orders for 100. I need 100 this week. Okay, you haven't spoken to me for 3 years, but you need 100 this week. Okay, but you've got to be ready for that. I mean, no one could predict COVID, but COVID I did well, and then now again after COVID, it's looking for the next way to promote. So I mean, I'm working with an Amazon, somebody who's good at Amazon, somebody who can get things positioned well, use the search terms, because it's not all these things have become a lot more specialized in the past 10 years. Unless you've got a brilliant product, then the price is going to be very important. Even if you have got a brilliant, but the guy from the wholesaler said, this is your ceiling. You can't go above this price. A product training is above this price, struggle. So you have to hit this price. I think that price has gone up since. I put the price up since, but at that time, this is your price. You have to hit that price. So you can't be going out there doing fancy advertising campaigns, making adverts with proper cameramen and whatever. You just got to do the best you can with what you've got.
Folks at home, are you struggling with chipping? I know I am. Or do you want to maybe develop a product in Thailand? I'm going to put Rob's contact details in the description of this video. Reach out to him. He's given me full permission to let you pick his brain and get better at golf and get better at inventing. Thanks for being on, Rob.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's been very good.
Subscribe, share, and like.